from the site plans above, we have decided to base our design on RBC's building option to separate the new office space from the new manufacturing building. We felt this gave us a great opportunity to provide a functional and economic site design for RBC. We considered several main goals in developing this site design. Our first was to make sure that the new office space was close to the entrance of the site and also close to the existing office space. We also wanted to make sure that there was easy access between the new manufacturing site and the old manufacturing site, as well as easy access between the office spaces. We also wanted to make sure that the finished product laydown area was in a location close to the entrance of the site to allow for quick and easy finished product pickup. One other goal that we really strived hard to achieve and are proud that we achieved was to avoid activity within the 25-foot buffer of the wetlands on site, as well as within the pre- and post-developed 100-year floodplains of Tributary 1 to the north of the site. Additionally, this site design allows for a very small cut and fill difference on site, which of course reduces earthwork costs. As you can see from this drawing, our areas of cut are shown in blue and our areas of fill are shown in red. We were able to utilize about 87% of our cut material for fill on site, leaving us with about 11,000 cubic yards of excess, which we hope we can use for either the MSC wall at the CSX Railway Bridge or for the Bethel Church and Red Toad Road improvements. This brings me to the next major element of our preliminary design, our earth-retaining structures. Due to the placement of the finished product laydown area and new manufacturing building, we have designed two retaining walls. The first being a cantilever retaining wall, which is about 15 feet high and spans a length of approximately 1,000 feet and is located to the northwest of the finished product laydown area and new manufacturing building. And the second is a gabion retaining wall, which averages about 9 feet in height and spans approximately 400 feet and is located just south of the finished product laydown area. We chose a cantilever retaining wall because it's ease of construction, especially over such a long span with continuing properties across that span, and it is also cost effective. We chose a gabion retaining wall for just south of the finished product laydown area because it requires minimal foundation work and is also easily constructed around the differing contours of the earth that it is retaining. It is also relatively cost effective. As a result of these site changes, new stormwater management practices had to be considered. Our stormwater management approach consisted of two major elements, the first of which being a permeable concrete parking lot just outside of the new office space. This parking lot treats runoff from not only the parking lot, but also the rooftop of the new office space. As water filters through the permeable concrete and the subbase beneath it, it is treated and then piped to a small stream just south of the new office space. We also designed two bioretention basins in the form of rain gardens on site. We chose rain gardens because of their effectiveness at treating runoff, as well as their aesthetic appeal since we have the new office space on site. One design that we implemented was a rooftop collection system on top of the new manufacturing building, which collects the rainwater and pipes it directly into the larger of the two rain gardens, allowing it to avoid picking up excess contaminants as it flows across the new internal roadways. Each of these two rain gardens consists of a hardwood mulch layer, an engineered topsoil layer, a fabric filter layer which prevents the engineered topsoil from moving down into the next layer, which is a stone trench underdrain layer, and then a densely compacted sand layer to prevent the treated water from moving farther underground past the stone trench layer. We also intend to use native and water-tolerable plants for both of these rain gardens. Another area on site where we will be using native plants is for our habitat restoration in the zone where we will be removing the old site access road. Here to talk to you a little bit more about some of the other environmental aspects of the project is Tracy Irvin from our environmental department.
Thanks, Anthony. As part of the restoration efforts for our site, we have provided a preliminary soil and groundwater remediation plan. This system, I say preliminary because we do not yet have a complete set of soil and groundwater sampling data. We are recommending that RBC conduct more sampling, especially around the perimeter of the site, to gain a better understanding of the area of concern, as well as any other possible sources of contaminants coming onto the site. information that we do have at this time, however, we are proposing the installation of a dual-phase extraction system. This system essentially is going to combine a soil vapor extraction unit with a pump and treat system. The soil vapor extraction component will deal with the vapors in the subsurface, while the pump and treat will deal with the groundwater. An oil-water gas separator will first remove the free product from the subsurface. The groundwater will then be treated through a GAC unit and then re-injected into the subsurface. The gas vapors will be treated with a separate GAC unit and then emitted into the atmosphere. The installation of this system and the operation of it will require several permits, including an air permit. Another area on the site where we are going to need an air permit is for the brick pile removal. We've estimated the volume of the pile to be approximately 95,000 cubic feet. It contains roughly 1 million bricks. This sounds like a lot, but based on the operating capacity of the mobile crusher and screener that the owner has proposed for use, we estimate that it will only take about 4 days to remove the pile. Some of the reuse options that we would like to propose for the reuse of the crushed brick are in the new internal roadways as well as the new employee parking spaces. Now that we have discussed many of the major design elements with you this evening, I'm going to hand it back to Brian to talk more about how we will be implementing them.
Thanks, Tracy. As you can see on the screen behind me, we've decided to highlight 5 major construction elements to give you for our schedule and budget breakdown. As you can see, these 5 elements, with the addition of a 6-month time to get from a 50% preliminary design to a 100% final design, brings us to a critical path and total length of the expansion of 42 months. On the next slide, you can see our construction costs with the same 5 elements highlighted. These costs, in addition to a 15% contingency that we've included, have brought our total construction cost to just under $6 million. For further phasing and construction scheduling, you can see the report that we submitted to you last Friday. Now that we've talked about what we've done so far, we want to mention what we might do next if we're lucky enough to get the final design from Renaissance Business Corporation. As I mentioned earlier, the community is very important to us, as we know it is to the Renaissance Business Corporation. To incorporate the community into our final design plan, we plan on holding town hall meetings and also issuing questionnaires to get the public's input and concerns. Finally, we have the information that we will take place during the 6-month time period. We will be getting permit approval and bringing our design up to 100% design specifications. With that being said, we'd like to thank you and continue our professional relationship with the Renaissance Business Corporation. Again, thank you for your time this evening. We'd now like to open ourselves up to any questions that you might have for us.
Great, thank you. Panel, we have about 5.5 minutes for questions. Philip, would you like to start?
Certainly. Brian, I have a question on one of the elements was the alignments of Red Toad Road and Bethel Church Road. Great explanation of Bethel Church Road. If you can just help me understand if there's any tweak or shift in the horizontal alignment with Red Toad Road. I have a little concern with just the adjacent driveways or property owners. Is there going to be any impact to that?
As far as the Red Toad Road goes, we have one impact on the right-of-way, which is the driveway immediately to the east of the bridge. Due to the gradingness that we had to necessitate for our new plan to bring it into AASHTO standards, we actually had to bring the grade down to a 7% maximum, which impeded slightly on the driveway. In our report, you'll see we have actually proposed a plan for remediating this issue. In addition, the Red Toad Road alignment will be staying along the same easements on the bottom side, and the expansion will all be happening to the upper side of the Red Toad Road.
Ted.
This is for anybody on the team. What design element or feature is your team most proud of?
I think the main sort of key element that we're sort of proud of is not necessarily one element, but how all the elements were able to fit together to form a very cohesive project site itself. By utilizing the retaining walls in the new building in the site laydown area and the retaining walls to facilitate those items, it sort of created a very nice flow into the site and around the different items. And that was what we were sort of proud of, because it's also a multidisciplinary feature into itself.
Ronnie.
You showed your schedule up there briefly. Didn't really say like the phases of construction. Is this going to be one single construction phase, or can you just walk me quickly through the logic of where we're gonna start building first and then where we're gonna finish up?
We actually have 7 phases of construction as outlined in our report. The main thing that we're concerned about is the internal improvements. Those improvements will be interdependent as far as you need to do the grading before we do the retaining wall. As far as the improvements to the external roadways and the bridge, they are actually not dependent on any of the internal site improvements because we don't intend on using the external roads to the south of the site to use vehicles to travel into and out of the site. We actually have a detour that we've outlined in the report as well. So those improvements will actually be dependent or independent of the internal site improvements.
Thank you. Jen?
Well, I apologize for being late. Traffic. And so I can only comment on the short piece I saw Tracy, but one of the things I noticed in your report that I think is worthwhile pointing out is that you had a concern about the brick pile. And to talk a little bit about that, how that might impact the costs for the site.
Initially, we were concerned based on when we were conducting phase 1, we acquired information that a former owner of the site was producing asbestos bricks. When we investigated further into this, we obtained, actually Fahani told us that a study had been conducted that was not reported, that the bricks are fine, and it should not be a problem to crush them with as we propose.
Thank you.
And we have time for further questions. Ladies, gentlemen?
Can we go back to your cost estimate up here? The retaining walls, 1.5 million for the walls. To me, I mean, not looking at the length of the walls, it seems a little on the high side. Can you talk a little bit about how your team might derive that cost?
Well, one of the main things that sort of added to the cost of the retaining wall is mainly the cantilever retaining wall and just its sheer size. Being that it's close to 1,000 feet long,
Okay, it's 1,000.
it's an awful lot of materials and supplies required to construct it. And it also has potential to take a little bit of time during construction, and the time itself can actually add to the total cost. But we took that into consideration, and we figured that even though the wall may take a little bit longer to build, the excavation of the property actually allows for further development of the building and other items on the plateau that we create. So both items can be built simultaneously.
Very good. United Engineering, thank you very much.